So, Jonquel Jones is the finals MVP. She was one of the best players last season. She made the All-W second team and obviously went and won the finals MVP, which is obviously maybe the biggest thing you can win. The best player definitely for the Liberty in the playoffs, especially in the finals. And today we're going to be talking about an interview that she ended up doing where I got to give credit where credit's due. She said she gave the absolute perfect answer. And this is another one of those interviews where it's like, where they're trying to catch people out. There are people that they're interviewing in bad faith. They basically want to get the answer of, and this is, by the way, on all sides, I do feel with WNBA journalism, everyone in every interview, they want a player to say the wrong thing, because that is realistically what has caused all the crazy stuff. Like Cheryl Swoop saying a lot of wrong things, and Melissa Smith saying wrong things. A lot of people giving interviews answers on emotions. Like some of the stuff Angel Reese said hasn't been taken well. Like when she was talking about some people get a special whistle after she clocked Caitlin Clark in the head. Like, I don't think that's what she meant by it, but a lot of things taken out of context and people run with it. And the reality is that, I will say this, if the WNBA players answered questions better, I wouldn't have had half the videos to make it on, because they did answer questions poorly. And it got to the stage then where journalists were trying to catch players out. And then when they caught a player out, then that's the story. The player being caught out rather than the game. And this happened again. And Jonquel gave the perfect answer. This is an answer about the Fever fans. Sorry.
Thomas. One of the best hoopers in all of the WNBA.
I'm going to go 1.5 times speed.
I mean, does absolutely everything. During the playoffs, she spoke out and condemned racism. They're playing.
And then the one thing I will say is, obviously, there is nobody's going to like condone any of that stuff. But it's just when you attribute that stuff to somewhere where it's not correct, that's where the clapback is. Like, instead of going at the people that it actually applies to, when you put a general term, that's when you just speak in generalities, that's where the issue is. And that's where the backlash came from the Alyssa Thomas statements. Not that any of it was right that they were receiving, but if you say the negative things, like if you brandish hundreds of thousands of people as racist because of the actions of a couple of hundred that just happen to be in those hundreds of thousands, the literal hundreds of thousands are going to be pissed off, when reality is they don't like it either.
Playing, and obviously the Fever fans were being the Fever fans.
Yeah. And like, that's what literally, that's the, like, you can see from this interview, he has basically just said Fever fans are racist. He has come out, I'm not sure who this is, but whoever this is has literally said Fever fans are racist. And that's just, the reality is that, let's just say hypothetically, I'll give an amount of those fans, let's just say there are 1 million Fever fans. The reality is that there might be 5,000 of those that are racist fans that came in with Caitlin Clark. The problem is that 5,000 as a percentage of 1 million is minuscule. Like, it's what? Is it less than 1%? Yeah, it's less than 1%. It's 0.5%. But when those 5,000 people are all on Twitter, 5,000 people can seem like 100,000 if they tweet 100 times each. And then you can see here, this guy's basically just like, Fever fans are racist. He's already made his mind up, and he's already asking Jonquel Jones a question from that perspective, which is where a lot of the dumb takes come from, when the reality is probably 0.5% people, which obviously is still too much. Obviously that's not right, but we just have to say it like it is.
Fever fans were being the Fever fans.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that she was willing, in front of the press and the media, to condemn racism. And she said, and now it's on the officials. I told you what it is. Have you ever had any encounters with things like that since you've been in the WNBA?
No, never.
And literally, like, Jonquel Jones, never. And her answer is the best possible answer that she can give here. And I think she's on the money. She is absolutely on the money.
I don't know. I feel like I think a lot of the fans, like the Caitlin Clark fans, I think they wanted to latch on to Caitlin Clark and then use her as, like, I guess, like this fuel to be able to be the way that they wanted to be, you know? And I think that's why there was such big backlash when she liked the whole Taylor Swift post saying, like, vote for Kamala Harris, because they want her to be the representation of their racism and you know, like their view on the world. And she's not like that. And I think you have to be careful when you say, like, the Fever fans. Because I don't think it's the Fever fans. I think it's the people that wanted Caitlin Clark to be a certain type of way and they thought that she was. And so they became Caitlin Clark fans, assuming that. And then they realized, like, oh, no, she's actually not racist. And so now they have to kind of, like, backtrack and try to find somebody else that can kind of embody the things that they feel. But, yeah, no player should have to deal with that. No player should be in any type of situation.
And that is fine. It's finally somebody actually said what's going on. That there were a very small amount of racists. And, like, that's the reality, is there were a very small amount of them. And as the season went on, they became less and less. And, again, a lot of them weren't even fans of basketball. A lot of them were just racist on Twitter. And then, obviously, when they realized, okay, yeah, maybe Caitlin's not who we thought she was, they then, some of these trolls turned on Caitlin. Some of them, like, they'll pick their new people. And the reality is the election's coming up. These people aren't talking about sports right now. But I really like the fact that Jonquel Jones didn't do what the other guy did and basically implied that Fever fans being Fever fans just implies that Fever fans, just if you are a Fever fan, you are racist, which is basically what he implied. Doesn't matter how long you've been a fan, doesn't matter who you support, doesn't matter how you could be an Aaliyah Boston fan, doesn't matter, according to him, you're a racist. And then at least Jonquel Jones has come out and basically said, nah, like, just defending Caitlin Clark as well, which is a big thing. And I think the reality is that the vast majority of Caitlin Clark fans are fans of Caitlin Clark because she shoots the ball from 30 feet away. That's the vast majority. That is the vast majority of people. And one of the problems is that when it comes to, and I will say, I think there are people that are going to be are fans of Caitlin Clark because, and these are, like, I will say some of the problematic fans, even that are currently still there, is that she's not in the club, if you get me. Like, she's not one of the cool kids, for lack of a better word of describing it. Like, she's not in the club that a lot of people have a problem with. Your ages, those type of people, where it's like, it seems like if you're not part of a club, the league hates you. And she's just doing her own thing and absolutely killing it. And to be fair, I don't think Jonquel Jones is part of the club either. He's just a hell of a basketball player. And it's good, though, that there is a player of the stature of Jonquel Jones that actually said what we all know. That, like, said what every reasonable person thinks. Obviously, racism is bad. Obviously, the players shouldn't have to deal with it. Obviously, the online trolling is something that you're not going to be able to stop long term. I hate to say it, you're just not. There is no way of stopping that in its totality. But it doesn't help anything when you generalize, just in anything in life. It doesn't help anything when you generalize a negative stigma towards a certain group of people, because all that will do is piss off that certain amount of people, and it could turn them into what you think they are. And that's the one thing I hate about this whole thing, where it's like, if you keep telling somebody that there's something negative, they might just say, screw this, I'll do it. Even though a reasonable person wouldn't, because, look, a decent person won't, but like it's not helping things. It's not helping things. Like, the whole stigma that, as the guy said, Fever fans being Fever fans, which is the worst thing you could possibly say in that. Because, well, it's just Fever fans. You know what she said? She's talking about the Fever fans being Fever fans. That's literally like saying, like, calling them like when people call the Caitlin Clark fans the Caitlin Clark CLAN, where I'm like, you have literally, like, that's the worst thing you can do. Like, it's one of the worst things you can call somebody. And to just generalize hundreds of thousands of people, maybe millions of people, because of the actions of a few thousand, is ridiculous. And it's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. And thank you, Jonquel Jones, for actually like being like, well, no, there was a certain group of people that latched on to Caitlin Clark because they thought she represented something that she doesn't, and now they no longer have really latched onto her because she doesn't she no longer does it. Yeah, they know for a fact she doesn't represent that. Shout out to Jonquel Jones. And at the end of the day, look, you can think what you want about other people, but it's good to see somebody finally coming to the defense of a 22-year-old who just wants to play basketball.